Warning. The Dub Talk podcast may contain language and content that is not suitable for young viewers. Listener discretion is advised. Also, there's also the possibility that spoilers will occur for the Silver Guardian, as well as any other anime series that may occur. So be very careful at your own risk. And finally, the views and opinions expressed in tonight's episode are that of the individual participants and do not reflect Dub Talk as a whole. And remember people, if you die in the game, you don't die in real life. Even if you're a silver-haired high school student who secretly guards Stage 0 from Tomb Raiders. Codename, the Silver Guardian.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to Dub Talk, the podcast where a group of Tomb Raiders search and raid for the latest and greatest in anime English dubs. My name is Stephanie, and I am joined tonight by Jamal.
If we're Tomb Raiders, which one of us is Lara Croft?
Me, because default woman, I guess.
Alright.
Most confident person in the room. Hello!
We're here with Sneebs. You said hello. And Lack the Watcher.
Hey everybody, I'm ready to watch some actual Chinese cartoons. So...
So spring is fully underway now, and so are the spring slate of simuldubs, but before we get some fresh air and new shows, we have a few winter ones to wrap up with. Kicking off our trio of winter reviews is the series The Silver Guardian from Howliners Animation League, which is based in Shanghai, China. That's right, folks. Noah's stupid joke has actually come true today. We're talking about Chinese cartoons, boys and girls.
It's the miracle of globalization.
And it affects us all.
It's a big year for Asia.
Woo! In case you don't know anything about what the hell we're talking about, here's a quick little summary. Soigen may be poor, but he is one of the best online video game players. This identity, however, is unknown to all except for Rei Riku, Soigen's classmate. She delivers a mysterious mobile device to Soigen, but before being able to explain herself, Rei is kidnapped and Soigen unwittingly finds himself wrapped up in a series of problematic circumstances. Searching for a way to save her, he accidentally activates the device, allowing him to dive into a new virtual game world. So, as always, we're going to be covering the dub of the series, from the casting, our thoughts on performances, and our general opinions on the series itself. We are not going to be talking about predictions because Silver Guardian is an interesting situation. So the first season premiered over a year ago now, and at the time, we were not considering it for an episode. And then the second season came out in the winter season, and then among the staff members who did the staff survey we have internally, there was enough interest in this series that we decided to do an episode on it. Which makes me very happy, because I'm one of the few people who actually finds this show okay. Everybody else is like, no.
Hey, I'm okay with it too.
I know you are. That's why I said I'm one of the few. I know you are too.
We're evenly split.
We're evenly split, so it's going to be an interesting conversation tonight. So, who is ready to log in and get the party started?
In the database? Living in the database?
This isn't the show for
That's
that,
the
but
wrong
okay.
reference. No, just make sure your bank accounts are fat, because that's how you play the game.
Indeed it is. Alright, so let's get started with the ADR directors, the assistant director, and scriptwriters. So, this is one of the probably the biggest one of the interesting parts of this conversation we're going to have today, because the staffing for between seasons 1 and 2 are completely different from each other. So, for season 1, we just had a director and a writer, and then season 2 is where we get a different director, an assistant director, but only, I believe, for the last episode, and then a different writer entirely. So here's how it breaks down. So, for season 1, the ADR director for season 1 was Jade Saxton, who has also been the director for shows such as Interviews with Monster Girls, Token Rambo Hanamaru, and Convenience Store Boyfriends, while the scriptwriter for season 1 was Josh Greeley, who has written for other series such as Castletown Dandelion, Overlord, and the Tokyo Ghoul franchise. Now, since season 2 of Silver Guardian came out in the same season as sequel seasons for Token Rambo and Overlord, both Jade and Joss did not come back to take part in Season 2. So here is how Season 2's staffing went down. So the ADR director for Season 2 of Silver Guardian went to Clifford Chapin, who has also been the director for Darling in the Franxx, which is still currently airing, Yona of the Dawn, and Keijo. The assistant director who helped direct the final episode of the second season is Tabitha Ray, who has also been the assistant for Kato, The Right Answer, Kino's Journey, and The Morose Mononokean. And meanwhile, we have Mr. Clayton Browning, who is the writer for this. He actually doesn't have many writing credits under his belt as of right now. I think he only has 4 other ones, but the 3 I snagged were Joker Game, Con Cole, and D. Grayman. So, this has gotten very complex really quickly. So, who wants to go first with their thoughts on the directing and writing of The Silver Guardian?
I'll go.
Okay.
I found that the first season was solid for what you could get out of it. Jade, you did a good job during the first season, making the dialogue sound as natural as you could make it, given how stagey and stilted the show could be. And Cliff for the second season, a good show in trying to bring the staginess of what's essentially an action shown into a head. Also for the second season, Josh, good show in the first bit to try and adapt some of the more technical terminology here, but I gotta give Clayton the second season's use of gamer terms in a way that felt natural within the world in these characters showboating. It was well done.
All right, who's next?
I can go next.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of what really stood out for me regarding this dub. I would say maybe the personalities of the characters kind of stood out. Mm-hmm. There was definitely a lot of different kinds of characters in this, because as far as the villains go specifically, more so than I think the heroes, a lot of the villains were very gimmicky villains. And I think that one good thing about this dub is that the uniqueness of the voice actors in these roles reflected the gimmickiness of the villains. Especially in the later episodes with the monkey guys and, you know...
the monkey guys that we're not going to get to talk about. Yeah. But hell yes, Jerry Jewell and J. Michael Tatum, I'm sorry.
Yep.
And early on with the Team Rocket wannabes, basically.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, I think the villains were really the standouts of the personality of this dub. The heroes sounded fine too, but they were, because of the fact that they were a little more normally designed, the performances from the actors were meant to be a little bit more normal. But for the more creative villains, for lack of a better term, the actors were able to really kind of expand themselves and do something that they don't necessarily always get to do, even in like shonen anime and stuff like that.
All right, Jamal.
I guess pretty much with Jade and Josh, they did a pretty good job. I was surprised when the press release came out and I saw Jade was attached to this, because I look at the show and I see to myself, I think I know why Jade wanted to direct this, because normally with Jade, she tends to direct a lot of dubs with sincerity in them. Let's just put it that way, because that's just pretty much of a director style I can get out of her best I can.
I mean, considering her track record with like interviews with Monster Girls and Token Rambu, it actually makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she had a box of tissues right next to her at the booth. But it's either she wanted to direct this stuff because there was some sincerity in the earlier episodes, or because she wanted to play Cat. Shout out to Wanchoi.
Wanchoi. Yeah.
We miss you, Wanchoi. But yeah, it was kind of nonsensical in the first season, and I thought she did pretty good with the material she handled. I was surprised to see she didn't come back for the second season though, because I thought, with a lot of directors doubling up, I mean, I thought she would come back for sure. To which I'm going to transition to Cliff, because I know Cliff manages to keep the tone very well, and knows how to handle Jade's project very well, because if you recall, both of them also co-directed Konohana Kitan.
This is true. We unfortunately didn't get to talk about Konohana Kitan because they were co-directors on it. So yeah, you are right in the sense that Cliff had the chance to get a grasp on Jade's directing style before going into Silver Guardian.
Exactly. He knew better than not to mess up, though. There was one setback that I kind of docked him a couple points for, but we'll talk about that moment later on.
I don't know if it's a setback. I mean, I can understand the reasoning why it had to happen, but we'll that's the other big conversation we're gonna have later on down the line.
Yeah, so he did a pretty good job carrying Jade's tone for the show, as well as handling the change. I think the change of the genres, I guess, because whereas season 1 started off more like kind of a dramatic tone, season 2 switched to more of a shonen tone. Mm-hmm. So going into that, I think, you know, he not only played to Jade's strengths, he also played to his own strengths, having directed previous shonen before. I think it's pretty much it. Other than the last episode, everything was pretty good. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Tabitha as a director, because...
Neither am I.
Yeah.
That leaves me. So, going into this, because obviously the big reason why, again, the reasons why Jade and Josh didn't come back to be director and writer for the show is because there were sequels for other shows that I don't want to assume, but it seems clear that they're more passionate about. Those being Token Rambu and Overlord. Which, I mean, I don't blame them for not wanting to come back. Because, I mean, Jade loves them sword boys as much as, like, all the other fangirls, including myself. Fuck you, Megan. I hate you for that. And, Overlord is fantastic, and part of the reason why I love it so much is because of Josh's writing, because he is a gamer, he is a bit of a nerd, so it made sense. Which, in that sense, to an extent, Josh's writing still kept true to that in Silver Guardian, because this is also a video game-based kind of show. However, there is a difference between Josh and Clayton's writings that's very, very distinct. Because there were some lines in season 1 that I just couldn't. I had to stop and die. Like, what's one, for example? Oh, in episode, was it 5 of the first season, where Soigen gets the phone, and he's hearing the recording from his grandpa, and he's told to use this money to live happily ever after with Ray. And the reaction basically goes as follows. Well, Ray, we can't do this bubble grandfather thing. You know what? You know what? Screw it. My body is ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, stop. And then there was another one later on where the words "It's raining men" were used.
Oh yes.
And I almost shouted hallelujah to that. It was
As
great.
you should.
And with Clayton's writing, at the same time, it's more straightforward. It doesn't try to be too gimmicky or too... What's the right word? I don't want to say dated, because I always tend to default to that word.
Meme-laden?
Too gimmick. Kind of, yeah. It doesn't try to be too gimmicky. It doesn't try to go, like a modern stereotypical approach, because there have been shows that have done that, and it doesn't work very well. Though I will say this, and I am mad at Clayton, I'm also mad at Cliff for this. There's a missed opportunity in this script, and it's an over 9,000 joke, and I am disappointed.
I'm still trying to get used to the unintentional private joke in the episode 17, I think it was. When they showed the asset graphs, and Suiga's like, so, how's it measure?
Yup. That happened too. But, going into the directing, for season 1, Jade, I think she knew what her intent was, knew what she was going into, because I think this was the second directing project she had after Token Rambu a couple seasons before. And for her, it's a solid effort, and it was a very solid foundation for the show. And it brought out some interesting performances for voice actors who were either... Who, especially for the two leads, really, with Soigen and Ray, that either I've never heard of before in the case of Ray, or who I've never seen a leading role in the case of Soigen. And I think her directing style, it was very solid, and I enjoyed it a lot. Though more of the problem is on the show, because how the show is structured. Season 1, it is 12 episodes, but they have a 12 to 13 minute runtime. Season 2 is 6 episodes, but it's at the 22 to 23 runtime. So essentially, it's like taking that first season and putting it together and making 6 episodes. So in a sense, if it's a regularly timed show, it's a single core of anime. So you probably didn't get to hear it beforehand because he was shouting this beforehand before we started the episode. Lack spent 6 to 7 episodes wondering where the fuck the plot was.
Yeah, and especially after skimming the manhwa, I'm like, oh, that's why it takes so long to get started, because the plot already starts, basically, at the beginning. So, yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah, Jade's directing in Season 1 is very solid. Transferring it over to Cliff, first of all, logical choice, since they did work together in Konohana Kitan, so they are familiar with each other's styles. But 2, because... And I think Cliff had tweeted this originally when he announced he was the director for Season 2. He wanted to make sure it was still consistent with what Jade was working with. He didn't want to make too many drastic changes. He didn't want to change the tone or the pace of it. And it shows. It remained really consistent in terms of the directing style and the performances in the show. Again, there's that one major change that we're going to talk about later on, and I understand the reasoning why Cliff did this, but that's a discussion for a little while. But yeah, like, I've solid directing and writing, but the only drawback is I could tell the differences between the 2 writers, like their different writing styles. I could tell that there was this distinct difference between the 2 seasons, and that might be a little bit of a drawback, but only if you're really paying attention to it. But otherwise than that, I think it's been very solid. And unfortunately, and this is more on the show, kind of needs to have a Season 3. Keeps doing the stupid cliffhangers. It's ridiculous. Anyway, are we good to move on to our first set of characters?
Sure.
So speaking of Team Rocket, to an extent...
Prepare for trouble.
And make a double.
Or in this case, make a triple.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Farin yet. She's later.
Meowth, that's right.
Oh, no, I was looking at the lineup. My bad.
No, Farin is later. Oh, to be fair, though, Meowth could be... God damn it.
That was
That
was completely unintentional.
That was unintentional, and it worked beautifully. So the first 3 characters we're going to cover, you really only see them in the first season. 2 of them, they are teammates of Farin, a character who we're going to discuss later on. The third individual, she's really only there for like one stage and kind of as an introduction to this world and the mechanics, and kind of helps push the plot in a sense. So we have Enyu, we have Phoebe, and we have Shostia. Shostia being helping with the guardian duties and all that stuff. Enyu and Phoebe, we meet the 2 of them plus Farin when they initially tried to grave rob try to steal the treasures of this pyramid that Soigen just gets thrown into for no fucking reason. So the individuals voicing these characters for EU, and again, names are gonna kill me today. EU, we have Christopher Waitkamp, who has been in series such as Ace Attorney, The Royal Tutor, and Star Blazers Battleship Yamato 2199. For Phoebe, we have Elizabeth Maxwell, who has been in series such as Attack on Titan, Ghostic, and Noragami. And Shostia, we have Natalie Hoover, who has been in the Danganronpa franchise, both the games and the anime series, Keijo and Show by Rock. So, who's gonna start us off with these 3?
Okay, for Shostia, unfortunately, she just wasn't in the show all that much, and she didn't have much to say, so it's hard to really, like, be able to judge Natalie's performance. Mm-hmm. But I think for the character, she was fine, because, I mean, what can you really do with a character like this? Where
it's fair.
Literally she shows the reason she's there the moment she's summoned. Basically, we see her thighs, we see her boobs, and it's just like, oh, well, that's why you're here. So,
oh, God.
But
Brief fan service, apparently.
Yeah.
I was almost thinking, wait, is this going to be like a running gag? Like every level he goes to has a different like hot chick like to be his guide or something like that, but that's not
plus twin star.
Plus twins. We'll get the best girl later. But yeah, no, it worked fine. I mean, what else could they have done with the character? Like give her an Egyptian accent? Like, I mean, so with what they did with the character was good. Phoebe was a lot of fun. I liked Phoebe because obviously she reminded me of Jessie from Team Rocket. And I think Elizabeth Maxwell did a great job of like being faux Jessie. So
she's like a seductive version of Jessie.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome, honestly.
Yeah, like a kind of Yatterman kind of thing going on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually makes a better comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Team Rocket came from Yatterman, but whatever. There's definitely something memorable about the femme fatale villain, even when she's meant to be a joke, like Phoebe was. Yeah. But I think Elizabeth Maxwell, you can tell she actually had fun playing this character, and it kind of comes through. And, you? Is that how you pronounce it?
I hope so. I'm sorry, Chris. We love you, but this character is weird name.
On Mal, it says A here.
Yeah.
The shit.
Well, okay, there was like a Chinese to Japanese kind of translation thing that was going on here. Like, you know, Riku is not really their last names. It's like Liu or something like that. But EU too, Christopher. But anyway, he was also a lot of fun. He played the incompetent idiot pretty well. It comes to he just. Again, there's not much of these characters because they're only in the first season, and they're kind of just there to be foils. But, I mean, I remember them better than I remember some other characters, so I'll be fair in that way and say that they were pretty memorable.
It's good that they're at least memorable, because they are.
Yeah. So, kudos to that, and I think a lot of that has to do with the performances of the actors, because I think they brought personality to these characters. So, yeah. No, thumbs up.
You're going to have to skip me here. I'm really sorry to the guys who voiced them. You did do a good job. What Here Today is what I hear today. I took a break between seasons and I forgot these characters. I'm sorry, they had nothing to do with the story, and I was so bewildered with all of the other pretty colors and strange things. I forgot you guys. I'm sorry, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Natalie. You're cool, but...
You want pictures to know what they are? Who they are?
I remember who they are now. That was a little bit after the magic pyramid boss monster.
Okay, you just don't remember the performances because, one, you watched the show a while ago, and two, they don't exactly come back again.
Yeah, that was the show's writers are figuring things out as they go.
Shosti is the Egyptian Neko.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, anyway, that's my take on that.
Jamal?
Alright, so, this is my first time talking about Chris Waycap, and yeah, he does...
What?
What?
How is this a thing that this is your first time talking about Chris Waycap?
Because it is.
Oh, well, if I'm right, we'll get to talk about him again in the future.
But right now, this is my first time, so...
I know.
Okay,
then. For the future, though.
Yes, keep your excitement to yourself, okay? So, yeah, Chris Waycap played the dumbass very well. I mean, you know, he did... I get... It's like Megan said in another episode later. You can tell when an actor really loves their characters. And it really showed the Chris guy. I guess he loved to just let loose in the booth when he's playing the dumbass. And Chris really enjoyed playing the dumbass. I guess he gets to cut loose every once in a while. As other actors will attest from time to time. And you can tell Elizabeth Maxwell really had fun with the character. Because when I listened to Phoebe, she has a bit of a southern dialect that kind of gave me a flashbacks to Seven Mortal Sins, but at least with Phoebe, she doesn't come off sounding like Blanche Devereaux, which actually I was comfortable with, thank God. And Natalie Hoover, she makes Shosti pretty cute and pretty enjoyable too. Yeah, we don't get to see much of her, but I liked it for what it is. So
okay. I'm gonna start with Chris too. Because if I had to pull from my brain the characters that he's played in the past and then RiyO here, RiyO is the stupidest one I've heard him play.
It's like Bruno without the smarts.
Yes, but it's vastly different as well from what I normally hear him as. Because, like, I can distinguish him from Bruno, I can distinguish him from Aizawa, Zed, even Kodai, because I've been watching Star Blazers now. Because I'm just like, you know what, I should probably just watch this, because I'm mildly interested in, actually, I'm already, like, 6 episodes through it, and I'm like, ooh, I like this. Why didn't I see it before?
Need to catch up on that.
I am working on that because the next season's supposed to be a thing that exists now. But RiyO is definitely more on the silly side, and the voice, the range that he uses for that character is vastly different than what I'm normally associated with him. So that's honestly a lot of fun and interesting. And then Phoebe, goddamn Phoebe, goddamn Elizabeth. Phoebe is a cunning character.
Yeah. And
she's very seductive. The whole bit with the fucking tentacles.
Yeah.
Where she and Farn are luring these sorry sons of bitches into their trap.
One of them a gold digger. I can't believe I said that.
Yes, you did, but let's face fact. It's true. Let's face fact. God damn it, I got that.
I say that because Brit April voices said gold digger.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair, that character legit is essentially a gold digger.
That's
not lie.
I say she a gold digger, but she is voiced by Brit April.
Oh, Lord. I'm not even going to comment on that. But Elizabeth is very good with portraying this seductive tone that I've noticed. Like, she's very good at it. Like, I would be like, girl, I love you. It's great.
I love you, bitch.
I love you, bitch. Shut the fuck up. No, but yeah, Phoebe as a character, within the dynamic of her, RiyO, and Farn, obviously she's the mature, seductive woman out of the three. And then we have the tsundere loli, and then the stupid idiot among them. So that's an interesting balance between Chris, Elizabeth, and then Farn later on. And I love that interaction, the balance between those three. And Shostia, I love Natalie. I love Natalie. I know there have been occasions in the past where some of us have had issues with Natalie. I've grown to really get her range and her voice, actually. Ever since, I think the first time I talked about her was Princess Stride, and that was the episode where I was like, I've grown to love her range a lot more in the past couple of years. It's one of those moments where I learned my fucking lesson. I learned my fucking lesson, guys.
Well done.
Her as Shostia, compared to some of the other characters I've seen Natalie play, with the exception of, oh god, I can't remember her character's name in Akiba's Trip. Arisa
Ahokainen.
Thank you, Arisa. Probably with the exception of Arisa, Shostia in quote unquote, I guess in technical terms, might be among the older characters she's voiced, technically. So Natalie's range, instead of what I normally hear her as, it's not like complete soprano kind of deal like she did with Card Captors or with Akiba's Trip, but it's also not quite Sonia Nevermind territory with Danganronpa. It's actually a little bit of a lower register, which I'm not used to. So I can appreciate like seeing a bit more growth and diversity with her range, and I even though her character is has a very limited runtime, I enjoyed it. She was adorable. She was downright adorable. But because it's probably the lowest range I've heard her in yet, I'm interested to know if she can pull off a Monica Rial and we can see a big girl Natalie voice, or hear a big girl Natalie voice. That makes me curious if she's capable of pulling that off. But who knows what the future will hold. But, yeah, all three of these characters, despite only being in Season 1 for such a short amount of time, I enjoyed them. They were very enjoyable. Moving on. Are we good? Alright. The next two characters we're going to talk about. These two are essentially lackeys to two rival gangs, I guess, for lack of a better word. Organizations. That's a better word to use here. We have Nishikaze, who is a little, like, emo goth Lolita kind of character, I guess. She works for the Totem organization. And she's not introduced to us until Season 2, when she is tasked to get Suigen to meet Temujin, who we'll discuss next, and attempt to save Rei. And then we have Bashida, who works for the organization Precious under Dark Tiger, who we'll talk about next. And there's not really much to say about him, because Precious, we haven't really seen as much of Precious as we have with the Totem organization. But Bashida is essentially Dark Tiger's right-hand man, to an extent. So for Nishikaze, we have Miss Marissa Lenti voicing her, who has been in series such as Attack on Titan Junior High, Keijo, and RiyO Rainbow Gate. And then as Bashida, we have Aaron Roberts, who has been in series such as Aka 13 Territory Inspection Department, Token Rambu Hanamaru, Tongue Twisters, and Gangsta. So, who's going first?
I guess I'll go first. Bashida doesn't have as much screen time as I would like, because as I don't notice him as a character, it only took a second rewatch to get an understanding for him, because I was like, who is this guy? And why is he kind of important? And now when I see it again for the second time today, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, the whole story doesn't really kind of develop it. I mean, seems like two rival factions are trying to do some grave robbing, right? So I'm trying to figure out like how his character and his faction kind of really play into this against the Totems, who we'll get to later.
Yeah, that's the downside I was bringing up a second ago with Bashida and Dark Tiger, who we're going to talk about in a minute, where we kind of get more characters and more time with Totems so far than we have with Precious. So that's the downside in terms of with Aaron Roberts and Dark Tiger's character.
Yeah, so in terms of the role, I think Aaron Roberts did a pretty good job here. As for Marissa Lenti, it's funny how you say if you would hear Natalie Hoover do Mark RiyO kind of voice, because that was the first thing that came to mind when I heard Nishikaze, because it's like it's two different tones of Monica RiyO combined into one. And here's a funny story for you, because I remember one time Hardy was saying that he did not know Marissa Lenti was capable of that voice when we did the Nanbaka episode.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Neither did Marissa, because what I heard in the podcast was that when they started work on the first episode, after they wrapped the first episode, she watched the second episode subbed, and then she heard the Seiyu do a high-pitched voice, to which she started to get concerned because she had never done a high-pitched voice before, and she called Aaron and asked if she needed to be recast or anything, and said that she was good and they'll make it work, to which this makes a little troll when it comes to directors sometimes. And you are a beautiful bastard for doing that, man.
I mean, all the better for it, because goddamn, that warden was amazing. Thank you, Marissa, for your service. Where is more Nanbaka? God damn it.
Yeah, that was a trial by fire.
Also, holy shit, at the time of recording this, we finally have a goddamn release date for the home video release of Nanbaka. It only took, like, what, 2 fucking years?
Oh my god, yeah, we haven't had a release, we haven't had a home release yet, have we?
It's like, shit, it's coming out in July. Buy Nanbaka, ladies and gentlemen, watch Nanbaka as I slam my hand on my fucking desk. I'm sorry.
Yes, vote with your wallets. Maybe we'll get the OVA dub, too. Who knows?
Do it, kids.
Please vote with your wallets. Anyway, so Marissa did a pretty good job as Nishikaze. I mean, it's kind of sad she only sets up in the end of second. Rewind.
In season 2.
It's kind of sad she only ends up in the end of season 2. I really hope we get to see more. Come on, give us a season 3, man. Don't leave for hanging.
Come on, we need more Nishikaze in our lives. Who's next?
I'll go in. I found with Nishikaze, she should have, my expectation listening to the sub was she should have been this flat, the emotionless goth girl with an eye patch, but there was a nice terse edginess that really came through there. Marissa sounded half frustrated half the time when dealing with some of the nonsense of the kooky characters around her, and I found that really rolled off well. I found myself liking the character in spite of myself.
Basically, it's one of those situations where it's like she doesn't get paid enough for this bullshit. Is that what's sounding like to me?
Yeah,
that's what the character was.
Orders.
Okay.
Yeah, the character was, well, I'm working with this organization and I have to do this because there's some labyrinthine politics that I can't be arsed to explain to the protagonist, so I'll deal with it. But, yeah, there was a nice snarkiness to it. As for Bashida, Aaron Roberts tries. He does the character really doesn't have much to do. He is just a pretty boy who is there to react to his boss, Dark Tiger, and he is incensed about some of the various decisions that some of the other tomfoolery people are doing. And again, he tries to put as much spark into it, but that character is so inconsequential to the plot. I had some problem even remembering him, and I recently rewatched his episodes today, and it was still, okay, that's right, he's there, but the main focus is elsewhere. Still, right. Kudos, Aaron, to doing the servile little grimy guy who's loyal to his boss with aplomb.
Lack, what do you think?
Well, okay. One of the things that stood out for me for Bashida was how high-pitched his voice was.
Yep.
That was one of the things that really stood out to me, and I was like, I didn't hate it. I was just like, huh, I wonder what they're going for here. Because this
is question, how familiar with Aaron Roberts are you? I'm trying to gauge, because I don't know if you've ever heard of Aaron Roberts radio before.
I know him, but I'm trying to think of, who did he play in Gangsta?
Cody Balfour. Because of the stupid running fucking joke of Cody Balfour being a Sky Resist. That's where it is.
He's Jiro and Robin Slack.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Jiro and Ramen's. So you have heard this man before.
Yeah, no,
I was like, wait, you hosted Ramen's. What am I fucking thinking? You've heard of this man before.
Yeah, no, of course I have. I'm just trying to remember what I've heard him in. But, I mean...
what else? Have you seen Aka?
Not really. I saw, like, the first episode in Japanese.
Damn, okay. So. And I'm guessing you haven't seen Token Rambu, obviously.
No.
Damn.
But I still thought it was an interesting choice, because typically more tan characters don't get high-pitched voices, for one thing.
True. Oh, wait, you watch My Hero, right?
Yeah.
Kamui Woods.
Okay, alright, yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
I'm like, wait, he forgot that one.
He had a somewhat deep voice.
Yeah. There we go. There's a good one for you.
But yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting choice. For Nishikaze, I liked her voice. I liked how robotic and, like, informational it was. Like, just encyclopedia, basically speaking. Which is...
That's one way to describe it.
And I think Marissa played it very well. I think the character... She might have made the character sound a little too old for me, but I get what they were going for. I just... Nishikaze is a weird-looking character, because at one angle she looks like a lolly, and at the next angle she's got this huge cleavage, and it's just like... you know, she's really kind of a question mark of a character design, honestly. And it's really hard to nail one of those characters. And I'm not saying Marissa did a bad job. I think she did a fine job. I guess I don't know really what kind of character, like, what kind of voice she should have, but I think Marissa gave her a good one.
Basically, you're questioning the logic of the show.
Yeah.
Either that, you're questioning the animation.
Yeah.
That too.
Because it's like Nishikaze represents these animators wanted to have their cake and eat it too. Because she's got kind of the
physical the physical stance of like a lolly character, but they wanted to give her voluptuousness too, and it's like, well, that's kind of weird.
Would that explain the 18 on the eye patch?
Yeah.
Boys, I didn't realize it. Boys and girls, we gotta remember this girl is of age. She's 18 years old. Look at the eye patch. It's the best indicator.
Whatever the age of consent is in China. But,
oh, God. My turn, I guess. So, yeah, like I was saying before, Aaron Roberts is another one where it's like we can't really talk much about, unfortunately, because his character is very limited in the show.
Limited.
Sucks. Yeah. But from what I could get from it, Bashida is kind of a slimy character. He's a very devious and cunning character to a point. I think it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, it's more of a slimy individual character, but more of a devious character, and actually a little bit of a higher register compared to some other ones that I'm familiar with. Particularly Dance with Devils comes to mind, because his character Urie in that one is fairly similar in that regard, but less of a demon of sorts, though. As for Marissa, God, I love Marissa.
Who doesn't?
She's such a badass.
yeah.
Kicking so much ass. Like, Nishikaze is like, I don't get paid enough for your bullshit. I ain't got time for your bullshit. Get in the fucking mirror, Soigen. Let's go. I ain't got all day. But Nishikaze, to an extent, also serves as the exposition / mechanic dump to an extent in Season 2, which there are parts of it that are necessary, because by that point, it's like, what the fuck is happening in the show? It's hard to keep track, especially with how the show is paced and how the episodes are laid out, which kind of sucks. But Marissa, I love Marissa to pieces as Nishikaze. It's so much fun. I enjoyed it immensely. Are we good to move on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Our next trio, we have a trio of men coming in here. So,
Hallelujah.
they are basically 3 opposing factions to a degree. So we have Temujin, who is the leader of the totems, and who manages to kidnap and hold hostage, as she calls it. He prefers to say it's more hospitality and protecting her. Kidnapping Rei Riku. We have Dark Tiger, who is the leader of Precious, who is this masked armored man who sits on a throne the majority of the time and doesn't do a goddamn thing. And I think what's interesting with Dark Tiger is we actually don't get to hear him, or he doesn't have a voice until Season 2, which is weird. But that's on the show, I think.
I think he did have a voice in Season 1, if I recall.
No!
You sure?
He didn't say a damn thing, and I rewatched the show today.
So did
can you
I,
back me up? Lack, can you back me up? Did Dark Tiger say anything in Season 1? Because you have the freshest memory of it.
I don't think so. Cause
Yeah.
I'm just, because I don't remember him showing up until Season 2, honestly. But
Well, he was there in Season 1, but yeah, I don't remember him saying anything.
He was decoration.
He was mostly had his voice boxes of Aaron's Bashida, and Ian Sinclair's in the show too. We're not talking about him today though.
And
yeah,
Gigi is sad.
And Gigi is sad. Oh, poor Gigi. And then the third person we're going to talk about is Yuki Riku. He is the adoptive father of Rei Riku, our main heroine. And we also actually learned that he is the biological grandfather of our hero Soigen Riku. He's the head of this game tech company, who ends up murdered what is it? It was the same night as the shutdown of Dungeon Century, if I remember right.
No, it was
for the
after.
launch of Grave.
It was before the launch of Gravebuster.
Gravebuster, that's it.
I hope you're taking notes, listeners out there, because there are
This story
more
is
plot
convoluted.
twists.
Their story is convoluted as all hell, but it's okay. But the big
Mind
thing
you,
we find-
all this happens like halfway through the series, by the way.
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah, it was the same night as the shutdown.
Yeah, it was his name that is shut down. But the big thing we learned about Yuki Riku is he is one of the last known guardians, tomb guardians, and he passes that mantle on to Soigen in Gravebuster. So that Egyptian arc thing we keep talking about in season 1, we get to see a bit more of Yuki, even though more of a digitized version. He's a Digidustin. But anyway, the individuals voicing these characters as Yuki Riku, I'm going to start with him. That is good old Mr. John Swayze, who has been in series such as Alice in Zoroku, the Black Butler franchise, and Soul Eater. As Dark Tiger, we have Ray Hurd, who has been in series such as Gosick, Tokyo ESP, and Overlord. And then Temujin. God damn it! I'm sorry, this is great.
Stop swooning. No.
David Wald, who has been in series such as Code Realized, Drifters, and the Garo franchise. Fucking Herman Louise.
Best
anyway.
dad.
You know what? Fuck it, I'm going first. God damn it, David Wald.
Dilfwald? Dilfwald, as we like to call him.
Oh, shut up.
Shit.
That was a callback to my episode.
Oh, God. Anyway. So, Temujin is... Who was saying this earlier? Lack was saying this earlier. Where some of the bad guys are kind of this gimmicky, campy kind of goodness to them. David Wald is definitely the person who just displays that the most, I think. It's deliciously evil. It's kind of hammy and campy, and it's great. And it's like, oh, you don't like my hospitality, do you? It's like, oh my god, stop.
It's my OC from my One Piece Bleach crossover fan fiction.
It's true. But yeah, it's hard to not say anything very critical or bad about David Wald because I don't usually see him in a bad role ever.
So David Wald can do no wrong, huh?
Basically,
he's well cast.
No wrong. I mean, fucking.
Two.
Because I won't allow another episode of Token Ramu, because fuck that noise. I don't care. I have to talk about his character in Token Ramu.
Hashtag Temujin did nothing wrong.
Temujin did nothing wrong.
Now that was bullshit.
No, but Temujin is one of the more campy villains, more hammy kind of villains, and David Wald will just chew the scenery, and it's fantastic and deliciously evil. Ray Hurd, we need more Ray Hurd in things. I like hearing Ray Hurd. I don't hear him often enough. Why is he not in more things?
You could say he's not heard enough. So.
Oh,
damn it, like you beat me to it.
Damn it. Shit. No, because really the only other shows that I'm familiar with Ray Hurd in are Gosick and Overlord, actually. And thankfully, I got to hear more of him in Overlord as, who was he? He's Gazoff. And it was a lot of fun. But, yeah, like, for the amount of screen time that Dark Tiger has, or should I say the amount of dialogue that Dark Tiger has, I think it works. He plays, like, the, lower baritone, evil villain kind of well. And I want to hear, I want to hear more of Dark Tiger, obviously, because we don't see him enough. But I also want to hear Ray Hurd and more things. And then good old John Swayze. Good old John
Can't
Swayze.
say a bad thing about John Swayze.
No, you can't say a bad thing about John Swayze. The dude is motherfucking Lord Death and Soul Eater.
Yeah. And
You can't say a bad... Yeah. Yes.
And he's friggin' father, right? He was father, right, in Full Metal Alchemist?
He was... Oh, yeah, he was... Wasn't he... He took over Hohenheim in Brotherhood, I think, right?
Oh, he was Hohenheim, okay.
I think...
The father.
Oh, Ken Williams was father, that's right. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say, I think John Swayze took over as Hohenheim for Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on it, though, because I haven't seen Brotherhood. And there goes a lot of people like, why have you not seen Brotherhood? Why? In the comments, like,
It's okay. I haven't finished it, and I own the whole damn thing.
I own it, too, which makes it worse. But anyway, John Swayze as Yuki Riku. Yuki is an interesting... Yuki plays to two different kinds of John Swayze characters that you normally only see one extreme or the other. Where you have the serious, like, old man, like... old man tone of voice where it's what's the perfect example here? Allison Zoroku is actually a good example here, where Zoroku is like this grouchy kind of like stern old man, like, why are you doing this? You can't do this. Go to bed. And then after he dies and we see him in Gravebuster for that Egyptian arc malarkey, we see more a character that's more reminiscent of Undertaker and Black Butler and Lord Death to an extent in Soul Eater, where he's more of this fun-loving grandpa, like, call me Gramps one more time, so again, it makes me so happy. Like, it's two different extremes that you usually only see one side of. You know, you kind of get what I'm saying? And it's kind of blended together rather well. It probably helps that the game version of Yuki Riku is obviously a digitized version of like his thoughts and memories and how he feels his personality is compared to the real world one. And it's very interesting how that kind of melts together in a sense. But all three of these performances I like a lot. They're a mix of fun, they're a mix of campy, and they are a mix of why the fuck do I not hear more of Ray Hurd? Why the fuck is this not a thing right now? But anyway, yeah. Who wants to go next with their thoughts on these three?
Oh my. David Wald, you make shirtless, magical digital tattoo men seem like the most fun a person could have. I, too, would abduct the heiresses of billionaire video game companies if I could get away with it to have half as much fun as you do.
That says a little bit more about you, Sneebs, than it does him.
I'm sorry, David Wald has a good time as Temujin. It's the sort of mustache-twirling, delightful villainy that makes plots go round. And hey, conflict is the agonist that makes all stories go. So hurrah! He's doing the story a favor by making stuff happen. As for Ray Hurd, I really feel for you, Ray. You did as best as you could. Your character is so unexciting in this. You are stern and have serious things to say, but you'll wait, because things haven't come to fruition yet. But, yeah, I would like to have heard more from you, Ray. But, yeah, for my money, out of this trio, John Swayze. Oh, John Swayze. The introduction of this character was what turned me around from just hating this series to enjoying hating this series. It was this character is so absurd. He is the grandpa who makes a billion-dollar video game enterprise and somehow has this convoluted scheme involving the Tomb Guardian energy or something that it became Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point, and this character sold me on the sincere, campy nonsense that made this thing go. And
I'm sorry, I love that you pointed out Yu-Gi-Oh! Because now I can only think about Yugi's fucking grandpa right now.
Exactly.
Well, like I
exactly.
said, like, if it wasn't for all the jiggly goodness in this anime, it could have easily been on 4Kids.
You did say that in the chat earlier.
Yeah, it feels like a kid's cartoon that was marketed towards 8-year-olds to sell this new video game.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And yeah, John Swayze's role here, I like this character for what he's worth. He's just camp when he needs to be, and then goes balls to the wall. I don't care. I'm a digital avatar with no responsibilities left. But yeah, John owned this, and I'm glad I could have listened to him.
Steph, quick question for you. Have you seen the dub of Gosick yet?
I haven't seen Gosick at all.
You need to do that for two reasons. One, because Clifford Chapin is a crazy motherfucker, and it's great. Because he's directed it. And Ray Hurd, if you want to hear a really good performance from Ray Hurd and in a short amount of time, it's in Gosick.
I'll have to get around to watching that.
Yeah, he voices Leviathan, which is a character where most of the performance for him is more of a narration or a storytelling kind of thing. But he pulls it off so well, and Leviathan's probably one of my favorite roles that Ray Hurd's ever done. So yeah, if anything, for Gosick, go watch the episodes specific to Leviathan, and that'll give you a really good idea of how well he performs. or well, his acting style and how his performance is.
I don't doubt his talents, just that the stuff he had to work with.
Yeah, it's unfortunately in the case of Dark Tiger, it's the character and how little he's there. Who's next?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
John Swasey, he's pretty good as Yuki. I mean, John Swasey can do no wrong when it comes to voicing. He can do no wrong when it comes to voicing any type of character, really. Ray Hurd's Dark Tiger, from what I remember, because I had to refresh it today, Ray Hurd did pretty good in his role. It's just the character didn't have much to do. That's more of the writing, not just the character. David Wald, however, I slowly think he started to become the male version of Monica Rial, because the thing about this is, there have been so many shows I've watched recently where David Wald pops up.
You're not wrong. He's been in a lot of shows lately.
Case in point, Citrus, Hakata Tokatsu Ramens, Love Trinibio and Other Delusions, Death March.
To be fair, I'm not familiar with Death March, but to be fair, with Ramens and Citrus, it's really only like maybe 2 to 3 episode characters. So it's like small bit characters, but his voice is rather distinguishable that you can pick him out easily.
It is very distinctive. Like, I mean, if you thought Justin Briner was the workhorse of fall 2016, he's been slowly taken over by David Wald. Like,
I mean, the man doesn't know when to quit. And I don't blame him, because more David Wald is never a bad thing.
That is true.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's Gigi with a test. But yeah, so he did a pretty good job for Temujin. We don't get to see him as much, but for what we do, it's always impressive to hear David Wald. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say.
Okay. Alright, Lack, I think that leaves you.
Alright, well, I'm going to start with Ray Hurd as a Dark Tiger, because I actually think he did a fine job with the character. The character was just a dumb, like I said before, it was a dumb Yatterman type villain. So, there wasn't much you could really do there. But if you're going to play a stupid, incompetent villain, you got to do it right. And I think Ray Hurd did a fine job here. And I really haven't heard him in much. I don't know if I've gotten to him in the Overlord dub yet. But
he plays... How far in Overlord are you?
I don't know, like episode 4. Maybe.
Okay, you haven't heard him yet. You haven't heard him yet, but either you have or you're very close to.
Okay.
I'm assuming season 1, right?
Yeah, season 1.
Okay,
yeah.
You're pretty close, I think.
Okay. Well, either way, this was a great introduction of him for me. I mean, maybe not the greatest, but it wasn't a bad one. Now, Temujin, David Wald, he's great. I mean, he's great in anything. He can play any crazy character given to him, play it completely straight or completely crazy. And Temujin is one of those cliche, hides in the shadows type villains. And David Wald is just the perfect voice for that kind of character. I can't really see Temujin being played by anyone besides him. Maybe Robert McCullum, but I think David Wald is a better fit. And John Swasey is Yuki Riku. John Swasey could read Chinese fortune cookies, and it would still be the most compelling thing I've heard in a year.
I like how we made this relevant.
Yeah, I know.
The phone book is fortune cookies. I love it.
Yeah, well, the phone book would be too long, but
this is true.
But yeah, no, I mean, when you need a compelling old guy voice, you usually get John Swasey because he knows how to do that well, and he definitely does it here. I mean, he made Yuki Riku a more compelling character than he probably actually is.
Alright, I'm assuming you also have not seen Gosick, so if that's the case,
yeah.
If you want to hear a good Ray Hurd character, go see the Leviathan arc in Gosick. Done.
Okay.
Again, even though Leviathan is mostly like a narration storytelling kind of role, it's really good.
Yeah.
The performance is phenomenal. I think we're good to move on.
Yeah.
Are we right? Oh god. The other conversation we are going to have for the evening. Oh boy. So this next character, she's not paired with anyone, and there's a very good reason for it. So we're going to talk about the Collector. The Collector is she's a billion player who is in Gravebuster. who essentially will just steal all your money, all your rare items, and leave you for dead. And it's hard to figure out. It's difficult to figure out where her allegiance lies. Like, from my understanding, she wants Precious destroyed, and she's helping Soigen to do that in a weird way.
In a weird way, yeah.
That fucking slug dragon thing.
Sausage dragon was.
Thank you,
She's the
sausage
most
dragon.
confusing aspect of this series in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, I think the other big thing and I rewatched it earlier, and I was trying to pay attention. So, did anyone notice in season 1 when Dungeon Sentry was shutting down? You know that big monster that was like just destroying everything?
Yep.
Cthulhu.
Have you noticed? Did you notice that it was in similar form to the Collector?
I actually knew that was the Collector from
I
the
have a- I
announcement
think
I heard. So
How was
it's
it
implied
not
that it's the
obvious?
Collector. Honestly, I think it's implied, but there's something else that's implied for the Collector potentially. So, the Collector is a very interesting situation. There are 2 voices for the Collector. There was a change in the second season as to who the Collector was going to be. So, in the first season, the voice of the Collector was actually Marissa Lenti, who has been in series such as Gamers, Nabaka, and Real Life. And in season 2, Cliff decided to make the decision to change the voice because the seiyuu in Japan is also voicing another character who we're going to discuss later on, and for consistency's sake, he decided to put the actress who voices that character in as the Collector as well. So the voice of the Collector for season 2 is Miss Amberly Connors, who has been in series such as Cheer Boys 100 and Holy Night. So, some people probably think this is a weird decision that was made.
So, if you look at the Collector and you look at the other character Amberly Connors plays, you kind of get maybe why this is.
Yep.
So
We're just gonna say this right out. So, Amberly Connors also voices the lead heroine Rei Riku. We're gonna throw this out there right now. We're gonna talk about her performance as Rei towards the end. But I think the implication that is thrown in here is that Rei is the Collector.
Yeah.
To some extent.
which doesn't make any fucking sense. But
Welcome to this show.
Well,
Yeah.
here's my theory. So, one, Temujin gives Rei a one of those phones. Those
Sea
Magic
Bag.
Satan's cell
Sea
phone.
Bag, thank you. He gives her one of those. There's that. But I think the bigger theory that I think it is, you know how in the end of season 2, when Soigen gets his memories back of what happened, you know
yeah.
Grandpa was explaining that tree was taking like this energy from Rei to use to
Yeah.
protect the world. I think that energy in its own way manifested in the Collector.
oh, so it's like a Ventus Vanitas kind of thing.
Kind of. That's my theory
Yeah.
of it. And it makes the most sense.
Yeah, because why would Rei be pretending to be the Collector?
Exactly. There's no
Yeah.
reason why she should be. It might be implied that she is, and if that's where the show decides to go with it, then why the fuck do you do that? I think that theory makes much more
Not
sense.
knowingly.
She's like this energy mass. Some of the circumstances line up, but I feel like that whole zapping of the excess energy thing that Rei went through as a girl is what manifests into the Collector. But that's just my theory on it. Obviously, we won't know for sure what the hell's happening. But anyway, so how do we feel about these 2 iterations of the Collector?
I think we're putting too much thought into this.
Yes, we are. We're putting too much
We're
logic
putting
into
more
this
thought
fucking
into it than
show.
the creators did.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, we are.
yes. My
Why
own
didn't you
take on
hire
it.
us? What do you think of the performances, though?
No. I found that Marissa Lenti did a bang-up job to begin with, but while it was an unusual decision for those who don't know all this convoluted production history stuff, Amberly Connors did a good job. You could tell she was enjoying playing the role, that there was a lot. I have to admit, the Collector was one of my favorite characters because
The Collector
It's
is best
the-
girl. I'm sorry.
I will stand by that. She is the character
Sorry.
who has the
You fight
most
me less.
fun by wrecking things. Everyone else has this nice, neat little setup of what things are gonna do and where our little plot goes, and the collector comes in and ruins it all.
Everybody loves the Harley Quinn.
She fucks up your shit and she doesn't care.
She is
like,
the agent
"Fuck
of
you."
chaos. And fundamentally, that means that all of these other characters who are trying to pretend that all of this means something, she just comes in and wrecks them and shoots them with guns that turns them into stuffed animals, or hits them with a bullet that makes the sub still called it a sausage dragon, and I can't believe they got away with that.
I can't either. What the fuck?
I can't believe they got away with that scene that I posted.
Yes. It was odious
Where
and
she's
bizarre,
handling her
and
She's like stroking this shaft of her gun in the middle of her cleavage.
yep, this is
I
a
watch
character
Food
who
Wars.
does not
I haven't seen
believe
anything that erotic in Food Wars.
I need
don't
to
wish to
finish
cast
Food
aspersions,
Wars.
but get out, Lil. I don't know why this show was made with such a for teenage boys audience in mind, but I'll own this. I'll give it to this character. She's enjoying herself no matter what she's doing. So kudos to you, Marissa Letty, for your bang-up thing, but Amberly Connors, you had fun in this role. We can tell you had fun in this role. Good on you for sharing that fun with us.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I think one of the things that unfortunately on Amberly Connor's side of playing the character is she didn't have as much to do as Marissa Letty did. We see the collector a lot more in season 1 than we do season 2. And,
yeah, it's true, because I think we really only saw her in, like, one scene?
Yeah,
and that
I
was
really
when
only...
the Sausage Dragon came into play, right?
I really only remember seeing her that one time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's her Android 18 voice. Yeah, so... But, I think they both did a perfectly good job. I mean, like, it's, again, one of those situations where how do you play this character? And I think going for a more deep kind of Cheshire Cat kind of way of playing it, I think was a good way to do it. Because that's essentially what this character is. She's the true neutral, or the chaotic neutral.
Right.
Is what she is. And it's one of those things where when you have the chaotic neutral, you have to think about how do you play this character. And I think going for a more, like, mysterious kind of, I may not know everything, but I'm going to act like I do kind of persona. And I think we got to see that more from Marissa Letty than we did Amberly Connors, and I don't think that's Amberly Connors' fault. I think it's just the fact that she didn't have as many scenes. And I don't blame them for recasting, honestly, because I can kind of, I mean, if I was in, like, if I was in Clifford's position, I would probably do the same thing. I would be like, it's nothing against you, Marissa. I just feel like we need to be consistent for the character, because I don't know what's going to happen. There's probably a reason why these characters are played by the same voice actress, and I feel like if we don't do that, it's going to bite us in the ass later on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much my feelings.
Okay. Jamal, did you want to go next, or do you think...
I'll go next.
Okay, go ahead.
So if you remember what I said earlier where I said Dr. Cliff a few points, I'm just wondering if this was mandated or if this was his choice to do that. Because if this was his choice to do that, he probably could have ruled what could have been a potential plot point if this got picked up for a third season. To which I mean no ill will against you, Cliff. I'm just stating fact from opinion, that's all. As for the performances, Marissa Letty in season 1, she really had fun with the character. Like, she went batshit crazy. It was more akin to her performance in RiyO Rainbow Gate, to which I'm the only one that owns the goddamn Blu-ray, and I really want to do an episode on that badly, like real bad. Anyway, yeah, because she plays a similar character who's also deliciously evil, but with that character, she just pretty much wants to take over Casino, whereas with the Collector, she just wants your money, but she also has other reasons for doing things. She could be helping totems, we don't know. all you know is she's pretty much a lone wolf at that point. Mm-hmm. And in season 2, this is crazy. In season 2, I think Amelie Connors did her best Marissa Lenti impersonation. Even though the character didn't get much to do, the character was more kind of subdued, and that's when she kind of starts to show her true colors, what she's all about, instead of just being a lone wolf. And showing up to help support Swegan, it kind of helped to expand the story a little more, as well as the change in the genre. So I think they both did a pretty good job with what they were given. I really want to know more.
You actually brought up a really interesting point in terms of the recast here. Because we don't know if it was mandated or if it was Cliff's decision. I feel like if it was... Here's the thing. I think it might be more on Cliff's end. Because one, he admitted that the casting change was more of a consistency thing. He didn't mention anything in terms of being mandated by the producers in Japan or China in this case. But at the same time, he could also be leaving that a bit of information out. But the other part of it is, like, if it was a mandated thing, they would have done this in season 1. Mm-hmm. Unless China didn't know where the fuck this show was going.
Yeah.
Wouldn't put it past some production companies, but...
But, I mean, I think the decision was made more on Cliff's end, and I mean, obviously, I understand the logic. Again, I understand the logic and the reasoning behind this, because there is a huge implication that basically the Collector and Ray are in some form or fashion the same person.
I mean, it's entirely possible that it was just they look the same and the animators thought that they were the same character.
Yeah.
So
it's humanly possible, but I mean, I understand the change, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Also, because once he did say that the change was made, he at least also said, yeah, don't worry, Marissa's gonna be in here. We talked about it. She's fine with it. We put her in a different role though, and hence Nishikaze coming into play. But in terms of the performances from both of these actresses, goddamn Marissa Lenti.
Yep.
Again. Like, where did I write this note? Okay, this is my wording. Marissa is non-Baka Warden, but a lot crazier. She's Momo, but crazier. Like, Momo taken up to, like, a fucking 11 or something. And I love it. It's so much fun. Like, her evil cackling and laughing at Swegan was just the greatest. I'm like, I love this so much. Amber Lee Connors, I'm gonna disagree that she's pulling off her best Marissa Lenti impersonation, because I kind of have more of the impression that this is Amber Lee Connors' interpretation of Collector, which she does actually really well, honestly, from the little bit that we get to see, because how Amber played it, it is this cunning and strategic individual, but there's a slight seductive tone to her as well. So it's a little bit of a different interpretation than Marissa's, but it's just enough to make it her own. And I can really appreciate that a lot. Obviously, the question is going to be, like, if and when they eventually release Silver Guardian home video, if they're going to redo the Collector in season 1 with Amber, which is an interesting case, because normally I would say it's going to be obvious that's going to happen, but since it's under 2 different directors at this point, I don't know if Jade will go for it or not. I imagine she will, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, like, both iterations of the Collector are fun to watch. Personally, I loved Marissa's more than Amber's, but that's more because we didn't get enough of Amber's version of the Collector. That's really the only reason why I love Marissa's more.
right.
But I appreciate how distinct and different the 2 performances are. And I have to give Amber Lee Connors her credit and respect for making the Collector, despite it being a short amount of time in season 2, making it her own. Anything else before we move on?
Nope. Except I think the Collector was supposed to be the cosplay bait character.
Probably.
Well, some kind of bait.
God damn it.
I'm keeping a civil tongue in my mouth and moving on.
Let's see. So we're down. We have 4 characters left. Our final pair of the evening, though. It includes Lack's best girl.
Damn right.
So
Which
we have
one?
Actually,
best girl.
I do like them both, but best girl is the one lower. So.
But I'm not gonna say a thing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh god, you did that. So we have Farin, who we brought up earlier when we were talking about Team Rocket. She is a part of this grave robbing trio in season 1. However, the reason why we're talking about her now is she actually becomes more prominent in season 2. She ends up as the instructor for the the tutorial stage.
She ends up being one of the better developed characters, actually.
And she is an attacker made out of PlayStation symbols.
Yes.
Which was pretty cool, I had to admit. I did like that.
Yeah, but eventually what happens is she ends up being a part of Soigen's party, part of his team. So we get to see her more in season 2 because of that. And then we have the wonderful, wonderful Beast Guide of Soigen's named Twin Star. AKA Lack's best girl. So Twin Star, she is this guide for Soigen in his C-Bay, his phone, and she's an interesting case. Like, apparently she's a rare kind of guardian beast in a sense.
Yeah, grave beast.
Grave beast. Thank you. That's the phrase. That's the term I'm looking for. She has a humanoid form. She has this quote-unquote cat form where she splits into 2 furry puffballs.
I still don't know what it was.
And she's also a fucking dragon.
a two-headed jade dragon.
Yup. So I don't know where this came from, but she's also designated fan service. Though, God, Lack, what were you saying earlier? You love the fact that she loves to basically screw
that
with
scene
Soigen so
when he's
much.
on the phone with her with Farron right next to him. I love that scene. I know that it's stupid, campy trash, but I love it because I just love it because of the fact that she just does not care. She wants to make him look like a total horrible pervert, and that he just loves submissive girls and stuff like that. And I love the fact that she just keeps going with it until he's just completely humiliated.
It was great. So anyway, the individual actresses who are voicing these characters. As Farin, we have Miss Brittany Karbowski, who's been in series such as Gamers, Is This a Zombie, and Soul Eater. And as for Twin Star, we have Monica RiyO, who has been in... could have played her. I know, right? Yeah. Who has been in series such as Baccano, The Devil is a Part-Timer, and My Hero Academia. There's a reason why I picked those 3 credits in particular. Because I may as well go first. Monica basically has to perform with 3 different voices. There's the humanoid version of Twin Star, and of course she has 2 different voices for the little puffy cat ball things. And each of those credits, I think, are, as far as I'm aware of, the closest to each of those distinguishable voices. So, Monica, God love Monica. If anyone questioned her range before, shut the fuck up and sit down. Watch this show, and she has to do 3 different voices for a single character. Yeah, that too. But it's insane. Like, she has those 3 different voices, and it's so much fun. She's so much fun as the seductive humanoid, like, but master, that's not what you said to me last night. And then the the puffy mascots, where it's like
Phil and Lil from Rugrats.
Basically, it really is. That's the best way to describe it, and it's really cute and adorable. And Twin Star also doesn't get paid enough for this bullshit.
Yeah.
The humanoid form is just like, are you serious right now?
She's the only one who can actually get something done in this series. But,
yeah, if the end of season 1 proved anything.
Yeah.
The fucking gladiator
to be fair, Suigen does kind of advance the plot, but she's the only one who gets anything done in season 1.
Pretty much. But yeah, like the vast amount of range that Monica has to pull off in like one single character in this one fucking show is great, and I love it to pieces. Twin Star is also a very fun character. She's probably one of my favorite characters too, though not my best girl because that is the fucking Collector by a landslide. As for Brittany as Farin, what did I write? Farin is rather spunky.
Yeah.
She's a spunky character. She's also rather snarky. Because Farin in season 1 doesn't get paid enough to deal with her Team Rocket buddies bullshit.
She was the Meowth of the trio.
She was the Meowth of the trio, honestly.
Yeah.
But in season 2, you are right, Lack. She kind of gets more development going on with her.
She deserved to be the main character, in my opinion.
She deserved, yeah. She's really spunky. She's really snarky at times, and she's also a really good counterbalance in season 2 to Soigen, since we're lacking in the Rei Riku department here, and having her interactions with Soigen and Soigen's personality, because Soigen is an interesting character in and of himself for a certain reason that I'll bring up later. But Brittany had so much fun being the snarky little spunky little. Unfortunately, she's the tsundere. She's the tsundere. She's the tsundere character in this show.
Thankfully, it not all the time, so it doesn't really get annoying. So
she is a smart.
She's how you're supposed to write a tsundere.
She can hold her own rather well, and I love Brittany's performance as Farin. Who wants to go next?
I've talked so much. Maybe I should just go and get my stuff out of the way. So.
Okay.
Alright, so let me start with Twin Star. Yeah, I love the hell out of Twin Star. She's a better character than the show deserves. As far as I'm concerned, Monica RiyO is the only person who could have played this character. I love the hell out of Monica. She's one of my favorite voice actresses. And in spite of the fact that I hate the cat ball form of Twin Star, Monica did the best she could with those characters, and the fact that she gives them kind of their own personality is a testament to how great of an actress she is. Not only the fact that she gets to use her normal voice for the girl form of Twin Star, which is another testament to how great of a voice actress she is, and I just love the personality she brought to the character. She had a little bit of that Michiko little sass that she brought to the character.
Twin Star is sassy. Star is sassy, but not to like the lower register extent that Michiko was.
Right.
It's not the full-fledged. It's not the full-fledged.
She's a little smarter than Michiko, if I'm being honest. But
to be fair, you're not far off.
Yeah. I love Michiko, but she did some stupid shit.
Yes.
But yeah, no, A++ for Monica RiyO as Twin Star. She was the perfect person to voice this character. However, I will say this about Farin. I think Brittany Krbowski was the standout performance of this dub.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think that if this was a better anime, this would be one of the highlights of her career. Because I think she was absolutely perfectly cast for Farin. I think she had the perfect voice for the character, and I think she brought a lot of personality to a character that could have been very flat. But again, I think Farin also has the best character development out of anyone. I think she should have been the main character. But I think that it was really a perfect match of voice and character, because when you look at Farin, it's Brittany Krbowski's voice that comes out. Like, I really, really genuinely think that. Like, if we had done predictions, I might have actually said Brittany Krbowski.
Okay. I getcha.
Yeah, but I'm not claiming to be psychic in any way. I could have said somebody else entirely. But yes, I genuinely think Farin is the standout performance of the entire dub. So
nice.
Yeah, that's me.
All right, who's next?
I'm on a similar case here for both these characters. Farin was spot on. The bratty kid sister to Sugen. Soigen, that's it. I'm reading that list here. I found that she had that. She had that sarcasm, that snarkiness, the unwillingness to put up with the nonsense going around her, while still having that coming off that this is a kid still at the end of the day. She played it well, and I appreciated that role. I'm fully on board with you, Lack. She probably was the most complex character in this show, and good on you. And as for Twin Star, I love Monica RiyO. Monica, I am so glad to hear more of your adult voice. Every time I get a chance to suggest her as a character, it's like, I want to hear more adult Monica RiyO. And she nails it. She does the cutesy poo stuff all well and nice, but actually getting a chance to play like an adult and do some of her more playful, seductive voice is something really, really good to listen to. I find her ability to have fun with her adult voice is one of her best features in this dub. And while I don't play best girl games, I can certainly understand why she would be someone's favorite character.
It's kind of an interesting pairing you have here, because you have essentially a duality, I guess a triality of performances.
Trinity.
You're not wrong!
Yeah, because...
James McAvoy and Split. It's like...
Anyway, starting with that, Brittany Karbowski does the Spunk really well. She really does get the energy up. And I should know because she kind of reminds me of another character I may be covering for a Classics episode. I don't know yet. But she can handle Spunk very easily. As for when she is actually able to change her tone, when she plays Reed, the adult version of herself, the remote version of herself.
She went Naruto and made a shadow clone. She went all Naruto. It's shadow clone jutsu, bitches. Let's go.
Yeah, she really like just amped it up.
Puberty no jutsu.
Yeah, she amped it up to 11, and she was able to keep the anger very well, the intensity, and just turn it up. Like, it's kind of crazy because you don't really hear Brittany Karbowski do that kind of role often, but for her, she really does work as Farron. And like you said, like, she does get a lot better development.
Yeah, she's kind of the only one who does. So.
Yeah. And going into Monica RiyO, for her cat forms, I don't really have a problem with the cat forms. You know what I mean? I would say it's just Monica RiyO doing her thing, but one of them, and I like the fact you pointed out My Hero Academia, because one of them did sound like Tsuyu.
Exactly. One of them is essentially Tsuyu.
And the other sounds like her traditional voice, but when she goes into her adult voice, and then her adult voice, she sounds like...
Yeah!
Her adult voice and her adult voice.
Her adult voice.
Like, she...
Ooh, baby. We love you, Monica.
Yeah, she was the one that caused the Raining Men, by the way.
That's right! She did!
Yeah, because she used a combination of her big girl voice and what's normally identified as a traditional voice to just come up with this voice. Which I learned recently, it may be her voice nowadays. I'm not sure. Maybe she had a cold. I saw her in a video recently. I'm not sure that's her new voice now or...
How long ago was this?
Last season.
Monica's natural voice is actually pretty high. It's actually,
yeah, her natural voice is pretty high.
It's just that she posted a video on Twitter once saying she was taking a season off from writing, and that this was the same exact voice I heard.
Okay.
So it could be, maybe she had recorded at that time, I don't know. But yeah, Monica, she was able to pull off 3 characters, very different and very well. And I know some people have trouble triple casting, but in this situation, it kind of called for it.
Right. It definitely calls for it.
Yeah, so all around, these two did a very good job.
Nice. Alright. Are you ready to move on? Because we only have 2 characters left.
Hooray!
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so the next person we're going to talk about, we are going to talk about Rei Riku. She's the adoptive father of Yuki Riku, in the sense this heiress kind of girl. But she's a big nerd because she likes playing games, even though she sucks at them. And then after the death of her adoptive father, she ends up being kidnapped by Totem and is essentially held hostage, or again, as Temujin likes to say, under their protection. And as
That's
previously
not
mentioned,
rapey sounding at all. Jeez.
no, especially not those images that Temujin sends.
I know, it was like the Joker, it was like Barbara Gordon in the Killing Joke picture. It was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, let's refrain from talking about the Killing Joke, please.
Yeah, let's not. But anyway, the individual voicing this wonderful character, we talked about it before when we were discussing The Collector, Miss Amber Lee Connors. She has been in series such as Citrus, Hakata, Tonkatsu Ramens, and Keijo. Who would like to go first in their thoughts on Amber Lee Connors' performance of Rei?
I guess I'll go first since I'm more familiar with her work.
Yeah, but to say I'm not familiar with Amber Lee Connors. You're probably the most familiar out of all of us.
Yeah, because this came out, I think this... Oh, shit, what was it? I know it came out the same season as a lot of other shows she was in because I kind of made a slight running joke where she played a lot of redheads and a lot of pink-haired characters.
Let me double check what season this was. You can continue, but I'm just going to pull up what season
I think it was last spring because Girls Be Boys came out at the same time.
I will check that. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, but you can keep going.
Yeah, so Amber has a natural kind of pitch to her voice. Like, she can speak soft and sound either seductive or cutesy. To which I really think she did a very good job in this role. And, you know, she can be kind of fluffy when she wants to be, you know. And I also learned in the same season she can also be dangerous when she wants to be, because she was also a love tyrant. Holy shit. But that's not the point. The point is, Amber brings a lot of sincerity to the character. She really understands the affection she has for Suigen. Although that was kind of a convoluted plot, finding out that he was the masked guy in Dungeon Century. Like, come on, the game shuts down. How can you even tell that's him? That makes no fucking sense.
Side note, you are right. The first season of Silver Guardian was spring 2017, so the same season as Love Tyrant.
Yeah, she played a lot of redheads in that season. Also, Eric this make you a scary man for casting her as Sugumomo, because she... Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, Sugumomo was also that same season.
If you ever want to see creepy Amber Lee Connors' performance, watch episode 7. I guarantee you're not going to feel the same way. But yeah, she really does good with a lot of sincerity when given the chance. And I think I'm going to pass it on here.
I really like Amber Lee Connors as a voice actress. I think just part of the problem was Ray's not really in the show that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this is... Amber Lee Connors has the worst luck in this friggin' show. Like, all the characters she plays don't really show up that much.
Wait, you said she has the worst luck in this show?
In terms of being cast.
You should see RiyO Rainbow Gate where she has the best luck in this show.
Yeah.
Zing.
But the thing is that it's just like it sounds good. Like she is a great choice for this character. It's just really hard to. I'm gonna say a taboo word here. It's really hard to like be able to judge a damsel in distress character. So like especially like one who we really don't see that much. Like I haven't friggin' watched an anime with a damsel in distress since the friggin' Beautiful Joe anime. Like it's really difficult to be able to judge a character like this, but at the same time, going off the scenes that she's in, she does a really bang-up job. Like, she really sells the whole aspect of her leaving as best as... Or her being kidnapped as best she can. Yeah, I mean, there's... She definitely was more in her higher register for this one.
Okay.
I almost sounded like Alexis Tipton in some places, I'm not gonna lie. I don't
Interesting.
know. For me it did. But yeah, no, I think she did a great job. I just find the fundamental issue is that she's not in the series all that much. Like we see her more in her chibi form in the video game than we ever see her out of it.
Yeah, that was kind of cute though.
We get more of an idea.
the video game stuff early in the series was one of the better aspects of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, we get to see more of Ray in, like, at least the first half of the first season, and then kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sneebs, did you want to go next, or did you want to go last?
Yeah, I can't really say anything that isn't adding to what was already said by the others, but
Okay.
that performance was excellent, and I commend Andrew Lee Connors for having the ability to bring that earnest sincerity to the role. But she doesn't get much to do. It's a curse of a lot of the characters in this. They're either little small bits who show up here or there, whilst the plot seems to revolve around Soigin, or they have nothing much to build on. In her case, I found that the damsel in distress bit was expertly cast, in that, yeah, she's bringing that... The role of the damsel in distress character is supposed to be someone who is emotionally compelling, so that when their agency is completely taken away, the protagonist, and by proxy the viewer, feels that pathos to want to see them helped. And I could see that coming along with this. She brought that life to that role. She doesn't get to do anything else with that. Curse of the writing, curse of the show, and I'm very sorry for her for not being able to do more. In the first season, when she was initiated into that cult and they gave her the magic cell phone that totally made me think of Yu-Gi-Oh! In that there's suddenly a secret occult conspiracy involving a cult of cell phone video gaming playing people who are trying to uncover the lost secrets of this. I thought, maybe she's getting a chance to play a villain. And with that potential conspiracy / fan theory involving the Collector, who knows? But so far, for what her limited range was, good job of Amber Lee Connors. I cared about your character when I, by all rights, really shouldn't have. Good on you.
Side note, I like how you talked about the initiation thing. Can we talk about the purification for a second? Where she's in a goddamn pool and is being cleaned by mermaids for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, something about that sounds fishy, you know?
It was like, gross as all hell. It was gross,
fibers, darling.
But it was funny. I'm sorry, the whole thing... It went from, I feel revulsion at how this show treats its female characters, to, oh, there it is being pants on head stupid again, where there's a cell phone cult involving people trying to win this newly released video game for reasons that are far too stupid to explain.
Yeah, Sneebs, I'm not gonna lie, there were some times when I was watching this show and I was like, do these creators hate women?
Yes.
Like,
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Anyway. So, would you guys believe me if I said that this is actually my introduction to Amber Lee Connors?
No.
No kidding, really.
Yeah, cause I think, what was it? Keijo was, like, at least a season or two before this, if I'm right. I didn't watch Keijo.
You have good taste. Good job.
This is actually not your first introduction to her, because didn't you do a Chill Boys episode?
Fuck you, right?
Well, I mean,
yep.
my first introduction was Dragon Ball Z Abridged. But
I guess the better way to describe it is, like, this is my first time really noticing who Amber Lee Connors is. That's probably the better way to describe it then. And going into this, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's weird. It's an interesting choice, because it's an actress who, at least at that point, wasn't utilized that much or that often. To be fair, in that the spring season, she was, like, in a lot of places. But I was like, I don't know how to feel about it. It's very interesting. It's very different. Going back into it now, though, and this is me after seeing a few other shows, specifically, though, Hakata Tonkatsu Ramens and Citrus, of all things, where I'm kind of like, okay, now that I'm a bit more familiar with her range and her acting, I actually really like her as Rei. She's really cute, and she's rather perky, which is adorable. And yeah, this is probably one of my earlier introductions to her, and it's not, obviously I don't think this is her best work. I think some shows that happened after the fact definitely improved upon it a bit more, and as a matter of fact, if I had to pick between her performance as Rei and her performance as the Collector, which I enjoyed more, it's the Collector, ironically enough. But her portrayal of Rei is, it's also very stereotypical, like you guys are saying. She's the damsel in distress. That's really what her character is at this point. And what Amber does with it is very is well done. I like the fact she's a damsel in distress. I like the fact that she's this kind-hearted girl. She's not the stereotypical heiress rich girl, for sure. So breaking the character mold there, which is nice. But yeah, she's this kind, gentle soul. She wants to get to know Soigen, regardless of his circumstances, which is really nice. And she just sucks at playing video games. Like, she really does, and it's pointed out rather often that she sucks at playing video games. But, yeah, Amber Lee Connors, I think it's a good performance. It's not one of my favorites. It's definitely an early introduction for me, into her work. But it's still a good performance regardless. I think we got one more character.
Oh.
We good?
Yep.
We good? Ready for this one?
Let's do it.
I completely forgot they existed.
Oh, no. You and I are gonna have fighting words. Oh, no.
I did not forget they existed. I'm sorry, you can't see my smug grin right now.
God damn it. Alright. So, our last character we're gonna discuss, of course, is our lead, our hero, Mr. Soigen Riku. He goes to, for some stupid reason he goes to a pretty good private school despite being broke as all
Well, they do
fucking
kind of
hell.
explain he does, like, part-time jobs around the school.
That's
so.
the thing. He does, like, so many fucking part-time jobs. It's not even funny. Like, he'll clean a cemetery, he's a lifeguard for a pool, he washes dishes, he's like a landscaper, yard keeper.
See what happens when you have a society that causes wealth stratification?
If Soigen ever decided to become an actor, he'd be Bryson Bogus.
Oh my god, it's kind of true. Because Bryson's all over the place. Oh shit. Anyway, but like we were kind of talking about before when we were discussing Yuki Riku, Soigen, he meets Rei through this game. He kind of gets a crush on her. The game is shut down. Yuki Riku ends up murdered that same night, and he receives the Sibe from Rei, and to an extent from Yuki, and we find out that Soigen is the biological grandson of Yuki Riku, and has this enormous inheritance. It went Eden of the East on us, and for some reason he has 10 billion fucking yen on this goddamn phone, and he doesn't know what the fuck to do with it. But essentially he is the last tomb guardian of this world, and he has to fight to protect the world, as well as, at least up until this point in the show, he has to get Rei back. Because, I'm not gonna lie, the beginning of the series in general, Soigen is a fucking badass. And we don't see it again right now, and it's depressing.
And keep in mind, this all is supposed to take place in a video game.
Correct.
Don't get me started. We'll save it till after this character, but I have words to say.
Oh, alright. So the individual who is voicing Soigen Riku is one Kyle Phillips, who has been in series such as My Hero Academia, Cheer Boys, and The Disastrous Life of Psyche K. And if I am correct, this is his first leading role.
Yep.
So, this is interesting. Who wants to go first on their thoughts on Kyle Phillips as Soigen?
I will say right up, this is what your affable leading characters should sound like. Soigen is the everyman who's down on his luck and trying so hard to make his way in the world until circumstance happens to land him with the girl of his dreams and $1 billion zillion, and all of these things literally landing in front of him. And those types of characters who earn nothing aside from just having a good heart can be really, really insufferable. But Kyle Phillips does a bang-up job in trying to infuse Eugen with that, I want to keep on saying likable, but that unpretentious, well-intentioned, and well-meaning warmth that I find really helped sell me on this guy. I still can totally see the writers practically breaking their arms to try and bend the world to make sure all of these cool power-ups just happen to land in his lap. But in spite of that wish fulfillment fantasy without any filtration, Kyle Phillips gives Soigin that relatable guy next door caliber that worked for me and made me go, you know what, Kyle, good on you.
I guess I'll go, but you gotta address him by his true name, though.
Who the fuck is Kyle?
No, pork chop sandwiches!
What?
It'll all make sense in a later episode.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so I was actually kind of... It was a refreshing take on a leading character, because I've never really heard Kyle in the leading role before.
Yeah.
And given the age of the character, it was kind of fitting, to be honest. But to me, Kyle Phillips is kind of an anomaly, because even when I hear him in a role, sometimes his voice kind of deviates to where I can hear either Vic Mignogna when he's screaming or Aaron Dismuke in his lower ranges.
Really?
I did notice a little bit of Aaron, like, sometimes when I heard him talk.
Okay, that's interesting you say that. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of unusual.
And you can't cast Aaron Dismuke as all the protagonists. So, yeah.
No.
That is true. No, but...
I loved it so fucking much! No.
I'm glad that Jade gave him his first opportunity.
Yeah.
So I really hope at some point in the future he does get more of leading roles. Maybe better shows, though.
Okay. Lack, did you want to go next, or you want me to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next.
Okay.
My thoughts about Kyle as Suicune are...
Suicune. God damn it.
Are pretty simple. Kyle didn't quite sell me on the character at first. I mean, it's nothing personal. I just didn't feel like his voice necessarily fit the role at first. But as the series progressed, he got into it, and I started to see how his voice fit into the character of Suigin. You know, his voice is a little on the normal side for me. It's kind of like an everyday kind of voice, and there's nothing wrong with that. That fills roles for a lot of great anime that are more realistic. But for sometimes for more shonen-y anime, I sometimes feel like you gotta have a little more of a unique voice to be a protagonist. But I absolutely get why they cast him, and I thought he did a really good job for what he was given. And he really tried his hardest for all the different kinds of scenes. When he was embarrassed, when he was trying to be heroic, when he was sad, and it all really came together really well. And I think he really came into his own in Season 2 more than he did Season 1.
Okay.
So that's pretty much my simple thoughts about it. So.
Alright, so for those who may not have seen the dubbies from last year, I actually gave Kyle Phillips one of my awards for underrated performance of the year for Soigin. Because... I mean, not gonna lie, and this is no offense at all to Kyle Phillips, I never thought that he would be able to pull off a lead character. Not gonna lie. But he proved me wrong with Soigin, and Soigin's a very interesting case because Soigin in his own right has his own duality to him. He has his in-game persona and the reality, which is brought up several times, where in the game, he's very confident, he's very knowledgeable, he knows what he's doing, and he's okay with being interactive with other people. In reality, he's much more introverted to an extent. He's very closed off, he's a bit of a shut-in, he works like crazy, and he said this himself very early on when talking about having some kind of relationship with Rei, where he can't because she's more of like a star, and he's just in the background. He's not someone that Rei should or would associate with, because he's not this rich guy. He works so many jobs. And seeing this duality that Kyle has to portray is very interesting. I enjoy it a lot. And I'm going to agree with Black. He came into the role, he came into his own much more in season 2.
Yeah.
But more because we also got to see more of his in-game personality. But some of his out-game personality too actually improved as well, I think, with the interaction that when he first meets Farron and they're in the diner cafe, and these jackass guys are hassling him about not having money. He's like, we can transfer money on the CBay? Cool.
You got Bitcoin.
I got Bitcoin, it works. But yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why I think this was an underrated performance. And honestly, the role that this reminds me of so much is Kaminari in My Hero. This is very similar in tone to Kaminari.
That's very true.
It is very true. Or as Megan likes to refer to him lovingly as, is Derp Lightning. But it's great. I appreciate the fact that he did get this opportunity to try out a lead character, and I would be more than willing to hear him as another lead character, also in a better show, but that's neither here nor there. But it's definitely, in terms of performances, it's not a standout one, but it's definitely underrated, and one that kind of flies under the radar, and not many people would think of it unless you really pay attention to it. And hence why I gave him one of my awards last year, and why I still think it's a very underrated performance that people should get the chance to see, because he does get to work with his range, and you kind of get to see him develop a bit more as both as Soigen develops, but I kind of feel like he develops more as an actor himself by taking on this kind of character in this lead role. So yeah, I really enjoyed Kyle as Soigen. We need more Soigen in our lives, because Soigen is a doof. He's a little dweebo. It's great. And can
we have a light novel where Farron's the main character?
God damn it. You're not wrong. Any other thoughts on Soigen, or do we want to move into final thoughts?
No, he's a lovable everyman protagonist, and this is one of those performances that won't win the awards, but will gain the notice from some of the people in casting. Good job. You have definitely proven your chops there, Kyle. Let's see you in a few more starring roles in the future, eh?
Yeah. Eh? Also, Derp Lightning's back, because we have My Hero right now, and I'm very happy.
Oh, yes.
Denki's a good boy.
Denki is such a good boy. They're all good boys, and they're all good girls, too. Yeah. There's not a bad one in the bunch, though.
Except Minette.
Bakugo.
Fuck you, no! Bakugo is best boy. Fuck you. I'm not having this war right now. This is a conversation for another day. Final thoughts. Who wants to go first with their final thoughts on the dub of Silver Guardian?
I wouldn't have been able to make through this show were it not for the dub. This show is so stupid. This is such a poorly written show in terms of who thought these events would make sense in sequence, who would cause some of these things to happen without explanation. Not me. But adapting the material they have, I found myself weirdly enjoying this bizarre kids show on drugs mentality that we happen to get. Josh and Clayton, thank you very much for making the script what it is. Jade, Cliff, and Tabitha, I appreciate everything you've done here. And to the entire cast, I had way more fun with this stupid thing than I ever thought I could. So I'm never going to come back to the show, but I'm grateful to have heard some of these performances.
All right, who's next?
I'll go next, because I'm probably gonna echo some of what Sneebs said.
I don't like this show. I did not think it was good at all. But that is not a reflection at all the performances of some of these of these actors. In fact, I think they deserved a better show. I think some of these characters deserved a better show, if I'm being honest. I know that this is kind of difficult because this is China getting into the anime world, and that's going to have some rough edges to it. So I would say it's not the worst start you could possibly have, but I do think that they need to improve after a while. And in fact, I think they need to stop trying to be like Japan, honestly, for their anime. Because if you look at, like, the Doomfist trailer that Wolf Smoke Studios did, or whatever, I forget what they're called, but the Doomfist trailer for Overwatch, that was done by a Chinese animation studio, and that was an amazingly animated thing. And I appreciate that it did kind of have an anime feel, but it was unique. And I feel like China needs to be able to embrace their uniqueness as a culture and how they want to animate instead of just trying to be anime. Because I think America needs to do the same thing too. I think, you know, we shouldn't try to be anime because there already is anime. We should do what we're good at. And China should do what they're good at. And I guess that's just kind of, it reflects in, I just don't really care for the series. So, yeah.
You don't care for the series, but the dub itself is...
The dub itself is good. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Alright, Jamal, what are your final thoughts on The Silver Guardian?
I guess I'll service the in-between. I thought this show was pretty serviceable. I thought it was pretty good. I was worried it might end up being another Divine Gate, which ironically Cliff directed Divine Gate.
Oh, the irony. How far we have come, ladies and gentlemen.
And as convoluted as the story comes off, it at least makes better sense than Divine Gate.
It's true.
Honestly, I was going to be that guy and say there's a better SAO, but
Log Horizon is the better SAO.
Yeah.
They're about to say there is a better SAO, and
honestly,
it is called Log Horizon. I haven't
to
seen
me,
it.
I think you have to care about RPGs to even make that argument.
True.
But I don't, and I don't really care about either show, really. Anyway, so yeah, the animation side, because I know Lax said that China should do its own thing. They do have, I think, one particularly good anime, and that's on e-games, but that's not been dubbed or anything. Or been dubbed.
I still need to see that one, but it did look pretty good.
And between Highlighters, this is probably a better animated show and better told than A Centaur's Life, which I never really finished.
Okay.
As for the dub itself, you know, it's just actors having a fun time with the material because it's not as good as you think it is, and they know it's not as good as they think it is. So it probably just gives them a chance to cut loose, you know, put people where you never thought to expect them before. I mean, except for the end of season 2, of course Jerry Jewell was going to be that psychotic character.
No one but Jerry Jewell can be that psychotic
I know,
monkey. It's the best.
Yeah, Chris Guerrero being the big baddie.
Oh, Aslan. Oh.
And J. Michael Tatum doing this weird high-pitched voice,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
It took me a second, but I was like, holy shit, that's J. Michael Tatum.
Yep.
Like, I've never heard him do this register before. It's crazy.
It's great.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, when they get bad shows to work on, it just gives them a fun time to have, and it really does show the end product. And I seriously want to know if, like, Jade wanted in on this because it had a lot of sincerity in the first season, or if she really wanted to play a cat. I know it's the former, but I just would like to think it's the latter, just to amuse me a little.
Cat.
But anyway, yeah, back to what I was saying. So the staff did a pretty great job, even if it changed over. The tonal shift is kind of minimal, unless it comes to the genre shift, and that's a different story. Jade and Josh did their thing, Cliff and Clayton did their thing, and Tabitha helped too. I think everybody involved did a great job. I would say, if you want to watch the show yourself, that's on you. Just give it 3 episodes of the dub before you decide to just throw it out. Because I can tell you right now, even the comedic aspects of it, is a lot better than the comedic aspects of Handa-kun. Because I do not like Handa-kun, and I think this was a much better comedy at points.
Like I said, looking at the manhwa and its style, I feel like Gainax would have been a better studio for it. But
Or JC Staff.
or JC Staff, yeah.
Yeah, so
They love their boobies, so you know.
You're not wrong.
Oh God, all the true facts are being stated right now. Are you good, Jamal?
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, that leaves me. I am also one of the few people who finds this show to be okay, and I don't downright hate it. As dumb as the show itself tends to be at times. That aside, though, the dub is very unexpected in many ways. This was my introduction to... This is an introduction for me on different fronts. It was my introduction to Jade as a director. It was one of my larger introductions to Amberly Connors as an actress. Of course, this is our first time seeing Kyle Phillips as a leading character. And first time for a variety of other things. The dub itself is solid. It's a very solid effort. Like Jamal was saying, even when the staffing of the seasons changed hands, there wasn't a huge shift in tone and consistency in the show. Again, the only big change, if anything, was the collector changing voices. That's it. And again, I noticed some things in particular in terms of the script and the differences between Josh and Clayton. But, like, that's just me being very nitpicky and paying attention a lot more to those kinds of details. If you're just a casual viewer or casual watcher of anime in general, you're probably not... You're not really probably going to pick up on that change. So you'll be perfectly fine. But it's... for a dub for a show that... The show itself is not something to write home about. The dub itself is rather solid and very enjoyable. It makes me want to see more from these actors. It makes me want to see more from the staff that's involved, which, of course, since season 1 came out, we have seen more from the staff. Minus Clayton and Tabitha on my end, though, because I haven't seen Tsunagu Children, because she's a full director there. It's solid all around, honestly, and it makes me want to see Kyle Phillips as another leading role at some point in time. Please make that happen, please. Please, 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 please. That'd be awesome. And, yeah, I think that's really about it. Are there any other thoughts before we finish for tonight, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Can we get a moment to acknowledge just how badly designed this game is?
Let's not get into the mechanics of it.
Can we at least get the literal dick measuring contest where the sword is how much money you have, which is how big your dick is?
Yeah.
I'll show you yours, you show me mine. Let's.
Like I said,
it's
Gainax
really
animated
long. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that right now to completely debase myself. This show does have sword as
and you're not
penis.
Wrong.
There's a lot of penis imagery in this series.
Oh, thank God Jade was not in the second season in that case.
I refer back to the cleavage gun stroking scene.
Oh God. Anyway, if you're
That's some economic stimulus for you.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's stimulus, all right.
Oh God.
Bye,
anyway,
everyone.
before it derails too much farther, if you are interested in seeing the Silver Guardian for yourself, you can check out the English dub on Funimation.com with their Funimation Now service. It is a subscription service, so you will, if you are interested, they do have a 14-day free trial. But as always, if you're not interested in keeping it after the 14 days, you need to cancel the subscription because they do ask for credit card information at sign up and they will pull money from your account. Though, however, as all of us can probably speak for on a regular basis, it's well worth it to catch so many hours of English of anime goodness. If you want to see
easier than buying the Blu-rays.
that's for damn sure. If you're interested in checking out the show in general or in the Japanese, the series is up on Crunchyroll. They do offer a subscription service as well. However, it is not required to have a subscription service to see the Silver Guardian because you're not behind the 1-week payroll thing as the show airs. if you are interested in anything else that we do here, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Lilac Anime Review, with review being spelled REVUE, where I post random shit on a daily basis. If you're interested in anything that Jamal does, you can follow him on Twitter at Jamstar529. Sneebs is Uncle Azrael, where you can find him, and Lack is at Lack the Watcher, where he does a lot of different things, probably much more shit than the rest of us do on a regular basis. Let's be real
anime
here.
reviews right now, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Jamal or Sneebs really have any other side projects that they want to.
Yeah, I help you edit.
Aside from Dub Talk, Jamal.
Yeah, it's not really a side project.
That's not really a side project. That's just being a part of the podcast at this point. Which, by the way, if you are interested in anything else that Dub Talk does in general, of course, the best way to do so is just following us here and subscribing to our YouTube channel, where we post new episodes at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on what's going on. Sometimes more than that, because this coming week after this is being recorded, I need to get the AB stuff done. But there's that. And you can also follow us on various social media platforms. We have a Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and a Twitch account, all at Dub Talk Podcast. So with that being said, I believe we are done for the night. Any final words to send us off with, boys?
Jade Saxton's probably gonna retweet this, because if you know Jade Saxton, she's gonna Google Jade Saxton, no matter how many times you mention Jade Saxton. Like,
What?
She would. No, she has a thing for doing that. Like, you don't even have to tag her, just mention Jade Saxton, and she'll find this episode.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing to Google yourself on occasion, just to make sure terrible shit isn't happening under your name. I don't blame her. Any other final words to send this off on, besides Jade Saxton Googling herself?
Just always remember to keep your gun up.
Fucking hell!
Lock and load!
Oh god! Why are we back to that? Why?
I'm
Why?
sorry.
Blame Black.
Damn it, boys.
You're not a billion player, Steph.
No,
You're
I'm
not a billion player yet.
I'm a billion player, but a billion in debt. Oh. That's it for us here, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Enjoyed. Thank you for joining us tonight, and until next time, Otaku, my friends.
Keep it loaded.
God damn it, did you really have to go that?
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
To love me dead.